Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Ortlieb Quick-Rack Lite bike rear rack. Bike racks are a popular way to mount bags or carry additional gear when you're commuting or running errands. While bike racks provide a lot of utility, they can be heavy or time-consuming to install or remove from a bike, which is a reason you don't typically see them on a lot of bikes. The Ortlieb Quick-Rack that we have in this review is a clever solution to that. It offers quick-release mounts that let you install the bike within 15 seconds or remove it within 5, which allows you to quickly put it on or take it off. We'll be looking at the light version, which is a little bit more minimal and is designed for road cyclists, gravel cyclists, or anything in between. In terms of packaging, it's really simple. You just have some cardboard backing paper attached to the rack itself. It's a pretty large shipping box if you get it shipped to your home. The basic specs printed on it, and then all the additional smaller parts right on top. Go ahead and remove this from the packaging. Once you take off these little plastic tabs off the side, you can see the cardboard comes off, and then you have a little box with all the accessories inside it. So in terms of specs, this rack retails for $110. Again, it includes quick release mounting, so you can put this on your eyelets if you have rack eyelets on the bottom, or purchase a separate adapter. And then on the top, it just uses a simple rubber strap design that goes around your seat post or seat stay. Pannier compatible, so you can use it with bags or other gear. With this light version, you can see we don't have the upper tray. Instead, you just have an opening, but you can still rest boxes or other gear on top of it. It has a 20 kilogram or 44 pound capacity, so you can carry quite a bit. And it has 10 millimeter aluminum strut construction, so you can see pretty lightweight, but it still gives you the higher weight threshold that you don't get with a plastic rack. It also has universal fit, so it's designed for just about anything, including full suspension bikes. In terms of what you get with it, you can see we have the big instruction manual. And because it's designed for multiple languages, you can see it's quite large. And it's kind of more like an IKEA manual with a lot of pictures, which is a little bit confusing initially. But there are some helpful videos online, and installing it just requires a couple mounting tabs. You have a little bracket here. It has a 50 millimeter spacing. This is for a taillight, so you can put this right off the back side. You have the rear mounting strut, and then an extra long variation if your bike requires it, so you can swap it out. And this will go around, again, your seat stay or seat post. You have all your hardware as well. So these are the M5 and M6 bolts, and these are the quick release tabs that will go off the eyelet or the adapter if you purchase that separately. And then these are the additional optional accessories. These are the QL3 and 3.1 mounts. So you can put these along the strut, and that'll secure your bag to it. Now let's take a look at the weight of the rack. So the rack by itself is about 370. You also need the rear strut, so we're using the shorter one here. That adds a little bit more, so it goes up to 430, and it'll be a little bit more if you add the accessories. There's an optional fender as well, and there'll be a little bit of hardware on your bike, which includes just a couple bolts. The Ortlieb Quick-Rack Lite is designed for cyclists looking for a minimal and lightweight rear rack. Constructed from aluminum and all available in this black finish, the Quick-Rack Lite eliminates the upper tray portion of the standard Quick-Rack and leaves only the pannier side rails and then this basic triangular structure to secure it onto the bike. The rack is designed to work with pannier bags and can easily be rigged to hold boxes or books, as you do have a flat surface on top, as long as you have something wider than these rails. This whole thing is adjustable as well, so you can actually pull this out up to 190 millimeters. So it's easily adjusted to flex. And it can work from 26 to 28 inch tires, as well as up to 29 inch with limited compatibility. So you just have to make sure it can clear your wheels. If you have a fat tire bike, it might actually rub. You can see the welds are pretty nice on this, so very clean design, almost no branding, so you just have some basic branding and marking on the little hooks. Ortlieb also includes some of these QL3/3.1 mounting clamps. So these are to secure your bag, so depending on what kind of bag setup you have, you can see they include the bolts and hardware to attach this on various parts of the strut to prevent your pannier from going side to side, so you can adjust this for your specific bag application. What really separates this rack from other racks on the market is the fact you have a quick release style mounting. So instead of just using rubber straps everywhere, like you have a quick release fender, this one has a little bit more structure with a quick release tab on the bottom and then another hook system on the top. If you start with the bottom, that's probably the coolest part about this. You can see there's this little plastic hook that actually goes in the bottom circle. So if I pull this up to pull that little tab out of the hole, you can see then I can rotate this up and down. So to remove this from your bike, you would pull this up. That'll release this little slot here, and you can pull it off the bottom tabs. Then to lock it in place, you can see I just rotate it down, and then the little tab here falls into that hole, and you have a nice secure mounting. So you can see this is what secures at the bottom and lets it rotate back and forth for adjustment. The top portion is what really secures it down to your bike and prevents it from moving around. And you can see this is a very simple design. So it is a rubber strap along with this little 180-degree hook. So it's pretty cool. This will go in to the slot here. You can lock it in place, and then when you want to remove it, you can see just align it with the hook or the little rubber strap, pull up, and you can see then you can just instantly pull it off your bike. Now, Ortlieb does claim a 5/15 second setup, so 5 seconds to take it off, 15 to install. Installation is a little bit longer because obviously you have to line this up, lock it in place, and then the bottom you have to line it up. But it's all really easy, and all the initial adjustments you need can be locked down with these bolts and the top strut. So you can adjust the angle of this to make sure this top rail is parallel to the ground, so your bags are parallel. And after that, it's a quick release and quick install. So pretty simple. Obviously, the big trick here is the bottom. You actually leave a little bit of hardware on your bike, which consists of these little tabs. So these will stick out of your eyelet, or again, that optional adapter. And this is what kind of goes in here and holds it in place. And then when you want to remove it, again, you just remove the hook and you can see it'll slide right off. So kind of a cool idea. You leave a little hardware on your bike, and in between uses, you can easily pop this on or off. Now let's look at the installation on our Tri-Bin RC520. It's a pretty easy rack to install. There's just a couple of adjustments you want to do to adjust for your geometry. The first step here is to install these pegs. Those go on the eyelets on your rear axle. If you don't have these eyelets, you can also buy an optional strap attachment that would go on the seat stay, and that would work for any non-carbon bike. So you always have options here. You can see our rear derailleur cable does get in the way, and that's a little bit of foreshadowing of our installation issues with this bike setup. Otherwise, you can see once you have the pegs on both sides, you want to slide the rack over it and then just open up the levers and then lock them into place. So really simple design. And once you have that, you can see it'll simply hold itself in place while you adjust the seat post attachment. With this top attachment, you can attach it to our seat post like we've done here, or even lower on the frame. So really accommodate a wide variety of geometries, and then you have tons of adjustment. First adjustment you want to do is the tension for the diameter of the mounting. So since we're on a seat post, it's a little bit of smaller diameter. So we're just pulling the strap tight from the other side and then tightening this bolt. And then we additionally have the adjustment for the rod to get the angle down. So you can see once I've tightened this down, it's the appropriate diameter for our seat post, but again, you can mount this lower if needed. The other adjustment here is obviously that rod, so it can go forward and backwards. And you want to adjust this until you get a 10-degree downward angle for the top bars on the rack. It's a little bit counterintuitive. You want to almost expect them to be flat, but according to the installation, you want them 10 degrees downward. And that ensures a nice stable position for panniers, as they won't slide side to side if it was just flat. Once you've gotten the angle adjusted, you can see just tighten those two bolts, and it's very similar to the fender installation of an SKS fender. They have a very similar moving rod design. Simply hand tighten them, don't over tighten these. Obviously just have some plastic attachments. And once you're done with that, you're set up for your bike. So you can just do a quick release on the seat post, and then you leave the pegs on the eyelets. Ortlieb also offers a longer rod here, so if you have a different geometry, you can use this longer rod and then cut it down to size as needed. The seat stay has a really nice design, so you can see just rotated 9 degrees, and I'll slide out of the rubber strap. Nothing gets left behind, so very clean installation, and it can still support a good amount of weight. On the bottom, it's a little harder to position the quick release levers. You have to position that angle right over the pegs, and if you have the rear derailleur cable like we do, you can see it kind of rubs against it, which is a little bit annoying with our bike installation. Once you have it in place, you can see just pull up and the levers lock. Now let's take a look at the final result on our Tribent RC520. So you can see really simple design with the black rack and the quick lever. It really blends into place and you can still remove your wheels and really doesn't interfere with anything else. It's a nice minimalist design with just the aluminum struts. And again, with the eyelets, you just leave those little pegs on there and nobody would even notice it's there when the rack is not installed. So it's a cool concept, and you can see even as you zoom out, it's a very simple and sleek rack design. You can't place anything on top of the rack. With this light version, it's missing those top struts. So you can only really use this with the panniers as we're doing here. And you can see with the QL 2.1 design, it just hooks into place and goes over the top rail. And it has that little hook on the bottom to prevent this from swaying side to side. When you're riding with this rack, it's really nice and comfortable. You don't really feel it or see it. We have the Varia PS here installed on the rack, and you can see with it even only on one side, the handling is great, nice and stable, and it doesn't really interfere with your pedaling stroke. So I'm really impressed with the rack. It's a really nice option, especially if you're doing commuting. You don't want a rack all the time. You don't have to worry about this. You can easily install and remove it. Obviously with the rear derailleur cable, it might rub against it like it does with ours, which makes the removal and installation a little bit longer, but still pretty easy. It's something you can easily remove and install on your bike, and the only thing I left behind is that little peg. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Ortlieb Quick-Rack Lite. What we like about it is you have a minimalist design. It's nice aluminum construction. It's very easy to install and remove from the bike, so you can easily install it only when you need it. It's also compatible with a wide range of bike setups with a really clever quick release design and adjustable strut. The main negative with this rack is that the quick release lever on the back side, on the drive side, can rub against the derailleur cable depending on where your eyelet's located, so that's one thing to be aware of. Taking everything into account, we'd give the Quick-Rack Lite a 9.4 out of 10. It's a really nice minimalist bike rack. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.